Greetings, everybody. I thought I go out for a quick walk. The weather kind of changed last night. It's gotten much colder for some reason. Like spring did a turnaround and winter moved back in. So it feels like about 40 degrees outside right now. Even though it's sunny and bright, it's still fairly cold. Anyway, I thought I'd take a break and go for a quick walk and do my video blog. And kind of just opine on some of the stuff that's going on around the world. You know, I actually just got off the phone with government mission, a foreign government mission from Europe. I'm not going to say what part of Europe, but we were having conversation and it kind of gotten heated just because they have that attitude that the U.S. Should be providing support to them. It's like a little brat that is expecting everything to be given to them. Granted, our engagement is mostly business, right? So I don't know why they're expecting for freebies from us, but that was just the attitude that it came across when I was talking to them. And so it's very frustrating, because for the longest time the world have been spoiled by the U.S. We send them stuff whenever they need stuff from us, maybe money or goods, services, and they lose, the incentive to work and do something out of, their own capacity. That's what happens, folks, when the U.S. gives aid around the world. People just basically expect for America to just, send them stuff, okay? And I have no problems supporting people in need and supporting countries that are in distress. I've got no problems with that. But when it becomes like a demand, it becomes, an entitlement where countries expect for us to just, drop everything and give them whatever it is that they want. We're at their beck and call. That becomes a major problem, in my opinion, because these countries will basically take things for granted. They'll just, expect us to give them stuff and not have to do the heavy lifting themselves. And so, my conversation with this, government mission from Europe sounded like, Al, you have to give us this. You have to provide this to us without them even reciprocating. Okay, so I see who's this. Is that Gomez? I can't really apologize. I can't see your name. Okay. Hey, Victor Gomez. Thanks for joining me. So, folks, they just kind of, demand things like as if they've given us something that we have to repay back. The entitlement attitude of these countries around the world. I'm not just talking about Europe, but all over the world. They have this entitlement syndrome in which they're just expected for the U.S. to support them. Okay, and it doesn't matter if we, have other priorities or not. They just basically expect us to provide whatever it is that they need. Okay. And so, as most of you know, I've actually dedicated my life to public service, to helping our less fortunate, capacity building and institutional development, economic development around the world. That's the main reason why I majored in international business, is to basically support those less fortunate abroad, as well as create opportunities here in the U.S. So that's why I got involved in the industry that I'm involved in. As I was saying, there are people out there that are just, overly dependent to the U.S. And if we don't provide assistance to them, they're basically just gonna lay down and wait for whatever it is to come to them. They don't take the initiative to actually do something about it. So I was kind of frustrated, right, with my conference call with this, government mission. And it, kind of wants me to reflect on this situation in Ukraine, where billions and billions of dollars was given to a government and a country that weren't really directly connected to the U.S. Okay? Imagine if you're an American taxpayer and is working a full-time job and making minimum wage. Okay? Your tax dollars, instead of being recycled to be returned to you because you're already financially struggling, it's given to countries overseas where the government and their officials are corrupt. And on top of that, while you're busting your behind, day in, day out on your 9-to-5 job, there are people out there receiving grant money from the U.S. and aid money from the U.S. that are living large, buying mansions, buying luxury goods, living that high life on your dime. Okay? And no gratitude, no thank you, we appreciate your contribution to us, to our society, to their lives. It's even provided, not once. All right, folks. And that's the type of people that I despise. Okay, they don't even say thank you. We appreciate your contribution to our lives and to our society, And that's what basically been created. All this mess where people are feeling entitled is basically done by the U.S. We did this to ourselves. We made the world feel as if we're their bank account, and they can basically receive that blank check from us whenever and whatever they need. Okay, so that's my grievances right now. I just thought I'd take a walk and reflect on what just took place a couple minutes ago, to make sure that people around the world knows that it is not America's responsibility to provide aid and support and funding to them. Okay, we just simply have this, desire to help. It's an innate desire for us to help those that are less fortunate, those that are struggling, those that are undercapacitated. That's just how we operate. Now, when people are taking advantage of us and taking advantage of our support and aid, then things has to change. Somebody would need to call them out on it. All right, folks. And I have no problem, like I was saying, that to support people that are in need. But for how long? and to what extent are we going to be supporting them if we ourselves are struggling? Okay, folks. So that's something that I want you guys to consider. America needs to rebuild and make our country much more efficient and better and wealthier in order for us to support those that are asking for aid from us. We can't give things out when we don't have anything to give. Okay? We have to realize that as a country, as a society. Millions upon millions of Americans are struggling right now. Okay? And that's been the case for many years. Why can't we help the people that are actually putting money in the pot? People putting money in the treasury. Americans that are paying taxes. Okay, Americans that are, developing businesses and supporting capacity building in the country. Why can't we help them? Yeah, it's baffling to me. And I mean, for ages, decades upon decades, right? This has been an issue for America. We don't know how to manage the resources that we're allocating abroad. One example would be this issue with USAID. Now, I would say USAID have done a lot of good, but it was also done at an expense much higher than we were ready to provide, around the world. And most of our resources that we provided were squandered. Okay, I'm not saying that all of it were misused and mismanaged, but the majority of it have been, appropriated outside of the capacity that the funds were supposed to be used for. Okay, folks? So, anyway, that's just, the situation at this point. So, let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree with me? Is that something that you haven't heard of or not familiar with? Let me know what you think, all right, folks? I interact with the public regularly, so I've seen it all. Don't feel bashful if you were to speak your mind and basically let me know what you think. I'm open to just about everything and anything, so feel free to speak your mind. You agree with me or don't agree with me, disagree with me, whatever. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the attitude of some countries out there that think that it's America's role to fix whatever it is that they broke, okay, to solve the problems that they created for themselves. Okay, folks, that's just the attitude that they've been having. So anyway, sorry about that. My nose is a little runny right now because of the change of temperature. But let me know if there's anything that you would like for me to talk about while I do my exercise and video blog at the same time. I want to also kind of point out this issue with what's going on with these illegals, the illegal immigrants that are now being, returned to their countries. I heard there was a case where either an immigrant, a legal immigrant, or a citizen was picked up and was taken back to, I guess, the country of origin or wherever it was that he was taken to. And people within the Democrat Party basically running off with the story. They're out there constantly talking about it, and basically putting the blame on the administration. So I'm still trying to research the issue. I don't know exactly what went down or how things are evolving right now, so I'm just gonna put his information out there until I know enough to talk about it. But I just thought I'd share this information with you. So with this said, it's just one of those things. We're trying to make things fair and balanced around the world. Make things fair, and talk about things that I believe is of value. Speaking of which, let me jump back on my soapbox regarding Patrick Ben-David, who's been trying really hard to attract eyeballs to his shows, valuetainment. I mean, he basically bring on scums and degenerates, lowlifes onto his show just to gain eyeballs. Okay. Point and example would be the Tate brothers. Those two punk brats, I call them punk brats because they love to yap around and talk and make themselves look like they're all bad and mighty, but in all reality they're just scums taking advantage of the less fortunate, moving to countries that are not very affluent, and start their operation in those countries and exploit the less fortunate and hard-pressed people in those countries. So they're scums, typical example of degenerates. But yet Patrick Ben-David's been giving the Tate brothers a lot of airtime on his show. He's covered not only their time while they were in captivity in Romania, he's also given them a microphone to basically talk about things that they hated about their experience. Why were they being treated the way that they were being treated? Issues that people that have broken the rules, regulations, and cultural norms of a country shouldn't be afforded to, in my opinion, just because of the way that they were operating. The overall garbage that they created, the Tate brothers have created, it's going to be a lasting situation between the US and Romania, because they made the country look like a very disorganized third world country. Okay, they don't even respect the rule of law in Romania. They don't even respect the judicial system there. So anyway, so David Ben-Patrick, or Patrick Ben-David, I should say, I've got the two mixed up. Patrick Ben-David's been giving them this platform, and I called him out on it, right? I said, well, if you're going to try to gain attention and additional income revenue, attract eyeballs to your show, then don't use scumbags like the Tate brothers to make money off from, especially within their story, because it's a major diplomatic headbanging going on between the US and Romania regarding the Tate brothers case. So yeah, folks, that's just the reality of things. I just thought I bring it out to your attention and share it with you that I have a major beef going on regarding Patrick Ben David, because he claims to have served in the U.S. military. If he did serve in the U.S. military, doesn't he know that we have military service personnel in the region, and their lives could easily be affected and safety could be disrupted by the rhetoric of this Patrick Ben David supporting the Tate brothers. Okay, he should have thought of that when he's got, service members throughout Eastern Europe that are serving our country overseas. And so I wish he thought about that. I wish that he's actually considered the safety of those, service members, because by him giving the Tate brothers a platform, basically infuriates the host country that our service members are serving in. Okay, folks. I myself have served in the U.S. Peace Corps in Romania. Our charge was to basically, promote friendship, capacity building, intercultural exchange, and win hearts and minds of the population in Romania when I was there. So that's because we know that trust has to be cultivated and it needs to be sustained and supported. But that wasn't the case for the Tate brothers or for Patrick Ben David. Those weren't their agendas. They weren't interested in, having a strong diplomatic relationship with Romania. They were just out there basically doing their party thing. They're just, living for themselves. They could care less about anybody else's sacrifices. Could care less about, the garbage that they're putting out. Not just in Romania, but around the world. I mean, if you listen to their platforms, they're very misogynistic in many of their comments. And on top of that, I don't particularly, see them as any form of an expert or anyone that's been educated. They don't really provide content that is educational, that comes across as somebody that was trained to provide and render an opinion on a particular subject. They just yap around and provide an opinion and yell and curse and do whatever it is that they want to do to gain attention. And I, honestly don't respect anyone that would give them that kind of platform. They're making society a much more evil and worse place to live in. So anyway, yeah, that's my 2 cents regarding Patrick Ben David, and I hope people would stop listening and going to his podcast and social media platform and just ignore him completely, because it's not, he calls his company Valuetainment, but he's not really creating any value whatsoever by giving the Tate brothers a platform. Okay, so yeah, that's the problem with him, is that he, in his mind, that he's creating value, but in all reality he's just trying to make money off of garbage. So yeah, anyway, what else is going on there, or around the world, I should say. Right, so the Trump administration actually is starting to crack down on illegal immigration big time, right? And so I wish that was the case a long time ago, when, like during their first administration. They weren't really able to finish that wall that separates Mexico and the U.S. back then, but they managed to at least gain attention regarding, you know, their overall priorities. So that's something that I respect about what they're doing. I just wanted to basically give them kudos for, you know, bringing light to the subject of illegal immigration in the U.S. because it's a rampant and very persistent problem. Okay, some people don't see it as a problem, mainly because they're not affected. But in all reality, eventually people will be affected once undocumented people enter the U.S. because we don't know who these people are. They weren't vetted. We don't know what they're capable of doing, what their agenda is. We know nothing about their background, education, or if they lack education or never even attended school. So they're infiltrating our society that is very, I mean, right now we already have a lot of problems, you know, without any illegal people. You know, as you all know, we've got tons of criminals in this country, and they're legal people. They're American citizens. So imagine bringing in additional criminals that we can't identify. There's no way for us to document who they were, where they are. So that's just the reality of it, folks. So I'm glad that the Trump administration is cracking down on them. Matter of fact, I have one story, and I'm going to just put this out there for you to consider. One of my friends, she's a lady, right? She has a sister, and her sister's friend was attacked by an illegal immigrant, and he had ended up killing her. And he basically went off and started hiding until to this day they can't find the guy who killed her sister's friend. Okay, folks. Imagine if you have people like that in your neighborhood, or even, you know, within your, you know, social circle. How do you protect yourself from this kind of people? So, and unfortunately, you know, the Democrat Party, I'm not saying all people that enter the U.S. illegally or have overstayed their time to be here legally are violent, but the Democrat Party is basically a party that creates a major division in our country. Very few people realize this, but the Democrat Party's agenda is to make sure that people are aware that we're a divided country by emphasizing on what should be a division within the country. And so think about it. If you're constantly talking about the division, then you won't have time to promote unity in a society. Okay? And so that's the reality of things. All right, folks. As many of you, if you've been following me for many years now, and you know, on our social media platforms, I've actually been a victim of racism and the institutional racism, workplace discrimination, and, you know, my civil rights violated, human rights ignored. Shared my case with the White House, Barack Obama and Biden White House back then, and then again with the Biden-Harris administration. And the same Democrat Party that talks about, you know, these kinds of atrocities towards, you know, the minority class, the quote-unquote supposed to be protected class, weren't anywhere to be found. They never advocated for my you know, treatment in terms of, you know, advocating for my, you know, for people to investigate my case. They never went out there, knock on doors and asked for answers why my case wasn't formally investigated. So, you know, I'm still to this day, I'm, you know, waiting for somebody to provide the aid, relief, and justice that I've been requesting from them. Okay? So think about it, folks. It's all a scam. Everything that the Democrat Party is trying to convince people that they stand for and support and advocate for are all scams. It's just a way for them to gain votes and make additional income. And people basically donate to their causes, quote unquote causes, that they're really not all that interested in honoring. So think about it. What I'm going to do is I'll share my case, the description of my case at the bottom section of this podcast and video blog. Or I guess I'm not going to upload this on my podcast because I don't have any way to download it. But I'll share it within my video blog off of faceconomics TV, so y'all can read the case. Let me know what you think. Opine. I'm not expecting for you to agree, disagree, or anything like that. Just review the case, see if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know, and kind of reflect on the overall magnitude of our case. I don't want to just let it go because I know people have dealt with my case. I mean, similar experiences as I have, and this is a way for us to, let the world know that we're not going to be silenced anymore, even though the Democrat Party tried their very best to silence us. So, yeah. Anyway, that's just the reality of things, folks. Our case was pretty much, stonewalled silence, kept under the rugs by the powerful elites of this country, because they know, mainly the powerful elites of the Democratic Party, I should say. They know that once my case exposed who they really are, then majority their grassroots supporters, which look, think, and act like me, will not be supporting them much longer. Once they know that they're being and once they find the proof that the Democrat Party is all talk. All right. Here's another example of my interaction with a politician within the Democrat Party. I went up to their office on Capitol Hill, asked for assistance, and in my face, right, the guy, he's a politician, well-known politician, lied to my face. Okay, he's within the Democrat Party. He lied to my face and did nothing to advocate for my, for my case. But when I was in his office, he basically lied to me. Said he was going to do his best to support our cause and our objective and our case to be investigated, formally investigated, and eventually going to the Department of Justice and hopefully Supreme Court. But years and years later, I mean, nothing was done. So that's just the reality of the Democrat Party. That's just how they operate. Yeah, folks, it's unfortunate, but it's very unfortunate. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining me on my walk. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, because I know one way or the other that I'm connecting with somebody there. But I'm not, obviously I don't have millions of followers. I don't even have thousands. But I know that I'm connected with at least one person or two that is learning from my story and gaining value from our material. So that's all that matters to me, folks. I would rather have, 2-3 people learning and being inspired and gaining value, okay, through our interaction and message and reflections, than having millions of followers that are not learning or gaining any value in what we share. Yes, I understand that social media is a numbers game. It's always been a numbers game. There's always been an algorithm game. But that, algorithm was created by people that have no, business in dictating anything to anyone. They're programmers that have very little to no life experience or expertise on the things that they're silencing, okay, and the things that they give priority over other issues. So yes, it might be the current social media norm, but I'm not overly concerned if I only have 2-3 people listening to me, okay, as long as these people are learning something from what we share. That's all that matters to me, because that means that my experience that is actually helping people out. It's influencing hearts and minds to the betterment of the world, to the betterment of society. So that's all I care about. When you're out there sharing who you are, sharing your vulnerability, sharing stories that are personal, there are evil people out there, nefarious characters, low life in this planet that will take advantage of it. I know many of them that they go on our social media platform and find things that they don't like and run off with it. I have no idea who they are personally, but I know that they're following me online. These are very evil, dangerous, nefarious, corrupt people. They follow people online and, attack them or discredit them. And we have no idea who these people are. But they know who we are because we put ourselves out there. We actually, had the guts to speak our minds and share people about things that we typically share with our friends and family, even though these people are strangers to us. But there are really bad people out there, and like I was saying before in my previous podcast, we now live in an era in the world that never existed ever before, where today's world is much evil than any other generations, any other era in the past. We live in a very different world, a more dangerous, evil world, because hearts and minds of people out there are corrupt. They're evil. And because of social media, it's easier for them to, kind of multiply. The social media platform created a medium that increased, corruption, evil, and bad apples exponentially, because they're now able to connect with each other, interact with each other. I see that on various platforms that I own. There are evil people out there, spitting out hate and doing everything and anything to try to destroy someone they know nothing about, personally never have interacted with, but they're just out there looking to destroy. And these are very evil, corrupt people, and there's more of them than there are good people in this world, unfortunately. So That's just the reality of things, folks. You know, be mindful of those people and avoid them, you know, as much as you can, because they're out there to destroy, they're out there to kill, they're out there to mime people, to you know, create, you know, disruption and all sorts of garbage. Okay, folks, with this said, I'm nearing the end of our neighborhood, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day on my workout routine. But thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your companionship and time to listen to our video blog and, you know, be provoked by my ideas and certain concerns. Like I was saying, if you have anything that you would like for me to talk about, reflect on, you know, even discuss on my next podcast or video blog, let me know. You know, do a description comment at the bottom of this video blog. You can always type in any concerns, questions, whatever you want to share with me, and I'll try to answer them or talk about them. And I will also include I will include the link to our case at the bottom section of this video blog, so y'all can, you know, share and review, research, whatever, comment on the case that I'm just talking to you about now regarding my treatment when I was in the government. So yeah, folks, that's just very sensitive to this day. It's raw. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to keep it under wraps, because it's definitely weighing me down. But I don't know if I let it go that I won't be the last person to be victimized by evil, corrupt, racist, nefarious people out there. So I have to, you know, keep on the fight, and hopefully that would be enough so that other people will not be victimized by those people that did their best to destroy me, okay, and ruin my life. With this said, thank you for joining. Look forward to our next engagement. Take care. Bye-bye.